How's it going, Rick?
I am hot.
Yeah,
It's part of the reason why the camera's not on is because I didn't feel like wearing a shirt because it's freaking hot over here.
yeah, I suppose so. It's it's been a crisp 90 plus degrees Fahrenheit in Michigan the last couple days, kind
Oh
of last
yeah,
week.
like last week. I love the fact that I'm going to Alaska on Tuesday.
Yeah,
The heat wave is before we go.
right. Just
It's just what I wanted was a heat wave before I go to
to send you
Alaska.
to send you up. Yeah, that's how it works.
That's okay. It's supposed to be like 70 when we get up there, so perfect
Ah, that'll feel nice and
for
refreshing.
me. Val will think it's cold.
Yeah, but like it's not even pants weather at that point. It's 70 degrees.
It's it's shorts weather year round. What are you talking about?
And I imagine you're going to be bringing all of your romantic stuff with you to Alaska.
So amusingly enough, there's a gentleman up there. So I put it out on the Fanatic sites on
Uh-huh.
all Kings of War, Firefight, and Deadzone. Um, there's a guy up there that lives just outside of Fairbanks, which is where we're going.
Oh, nice.
He used to write for the old magazine, the internet magazine that used to happen.
Oh,
Uh,
Ironwatch?
he, yeah, he used to write articles for that.
Oh, sweet.
Um, so I talked to him on Facebook, and I'm trying to hook up. I'm going to try and hook up with him up there,
Uh-huh.
and maybe even if I can. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, so I don't
Yeah,
know if I
yeah.
can, but maybe even get a little interview with him. I'm going to try.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Hey, you know what?
What?
This is Dead's on the podcast.
It is Deadzone the podcast. I'm Bryan.
I'm Rick.
Welcome to the Deadzone podcast. Deadzone is the sci-fi tabletop.
And
We
it's
did
hot.
it. It's hot. It's hot. It's definitely the we're starting to feel the burning flames of firefight.
Or, it being the official summer of sci-fi, this is the start. We're just on that really burning planet.
Yeah. Things are starting to heat up.
I'm sure there's not a Mustafar in the Warpath universe, but I'm sure there's a planet like it.
Yeah, just a Musa near.
It's Mustafar
all
adjacent.
all
Mustafar
these
adjacent.
all these bad jokes and more. You come to expect on our show.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah. Oh boy, but man, it has been like you as you mentioned, it's a Mantic Summer of Sci-Fi
Yes.
2024. And like already we're we're
Already, there's
getting
so much.
there's a lot. So if you haven't been paying attention or just tuning into the show as your main source of Mantic news, there's been a lot of build up to the kind of announcement and release of the Nightstalkers in the specifically for Firefight to start, but
Firefight,
kind of
yep.
their first venture into the Warpath side of the universe, and it's exciting. So the new two-player starter set just went out for pre-order,
Yes, it
and
did.
it's kind of subtitled "The Edge of Sanity," um,
I
and you're about
I
to
think
say,
it's interesting. So it's the summer sci-fi. you have the Nightstalkers, who
Mhm.
Kings of War, Nightstalkers, things from our nightmares, ports over to Firefight. So
Mhm.
what do you send out to fight against the Nightstalkers? Well, obviously you would
I
send.
would send the Rebs because they're the most readily equipped to defeat them.
Really? No, you send the Asterians that hid the plague to begin with.
Yeah, so in this two-player starter set, you have the new Nightstalkers, all tricked out for some sci-fi action, and you have the Asterians coming to you with new hard plastic ciphers
Woo!
and new Matsudon.
Matsudon.
So and it looks like there's a good a set of marionettes along for the ride. Probably at least a sprue of them. Because there's one
Which would
in
make
the
sense.
pictures. There's like 8 marionettes and the one of the drones. So that's probably at least one set, if not 2. Sometimes the picture is tiny and I have to zoom in. Yeah, I think there's at least one. No, I think there's two sets of marionettes by the looks of it, because I see at least 2 drones, or at least 4 drones shown. So that's
Oh
at
yeah.
least you get 2 per sprue. Um, but yeah, so the new ciphers as well, which are looking very sweet, and uh, they're also getting even more models not included in this 2-player starter set. I believe because I don't think I see the Black Talons anywhere
No,
in the
I didn't see
2-player
any.
set,
Yeah.
but they did post pictures of them uh, today. So
Yay.
they're looking pretty sweet. So all you Asterian players, uh, you're gonna be sitting pretty here real soon, and they look really nice. The old um, cipher models were not. I wouldn't say that they were bad by any stretch, but
No,
I
I don't
think
think they were bad.
it's just kind of, I'm guessing a big part of it is old mold processes and
Yeah.
casting and whatnot. So this, the move to hard plastic is always kind of the first step before they kind of mass produce them for firefight, and they're looking really good. Mantic continues to deliver on some really really nice sculpts for their hard plastic sets. And dude's got a little sword and a shield, like.
Yep.
And the Matsudon are in there as well. And rumor has been going around that they might be getting their own like fully fledged Deadzone list
Faction.
potentially. They might be breaking off into their own faction. We're still waiting for that
Well, they
to
should.
trickle down.
Matsudon are honorable. Space
Mhm.
elves are not.
The Asterians, it is definitely something to be argued that you kind of look at some of their history as well, especially for things like the Matsudon and whatnot, and they kind of recruit them
Yeah.
into their force, but also kind of send them where they don't want to go. So
Well, yeah, send them where they don't want to go, and most likely don't tell them everything.
yeah, so. But anyway, that said,
That's a lore
it's
tangent.
it's fun lore stuff, which we like to dwell on here. But we do have some very nicely painted first like look at the Nightstalkers,
Yes.
who are presenting with kind of a very like white and this ethereal icky green and red color scheme is what they leaned into for their official scheme. The
They look
Gosh,
sweet.
what are they the ones that have all the claws called?
The Rippers?
The Rippers.
No.
Are they Banshee? No, they're not Banshees.
No. They're... Yeah, I think they're Ripper. They're Rippers.
I'm just not caught up on my Nightstalker
Reapers.
nomenclature.
They're Reapers. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the Butchers are the big guys.
Yeah, the Butchers are the big guys, or Ravengers. So the big guys, the Butchers are the ones with the melee weapons.
With the melees.
Yeah, the Ravengers are the ones that have a range attack.
Yeah, which looks like it's built into their arms. Built isn't the right word for it.
No,
right?
it's
growing out
morphed.
of their arms.
Growing, morphed, whatever.
It's we're kind of definitely leaning more into like a Doom aesthetic.
With
more
them,
so,
yeah.
More so than like the Plague were always kind of, mutant monster type things. But they were always kind of grounded in this realm. And so having this kind of really eerie otherworldly nature to this faction, I think they're pulling it off. I think it looks really cool.
If there were questions still about Nightstalkers belonging in Firefight, what Mantic has released for these pictures for this 2-player starter should set all of those aside.
The only one that might still have some legs under it was, I did see someone point out, it's like really straw scarecrow hats.
The scarecrows.
I mean, I'll allow that one. Like that kind of makes sense to be like, yeah, whatever. But for those unaware, like the Nightstalker sets have a lot of different head options.
A lot of different heads, yeah.
So that's just one of many options, and even in like the main picture they have of the set with everybody set out there, I think I see one out of
one hat.
Yeah, there's
and
one hat.
And none of them have the pumpkin heads.
Yeah, none of them have the pumpkin
head is an option.
So
now, me personally, if I was on some kind of ship over some random planet and a monster came out around the corner and it had a pumpkin head, yeah, that would scare the crap out of me.
Yeah.
What I love about the new models, the new Nightstalkers, is the Reapers.
Yeah, the Reapers.
Their look. So for Kings of War, they're more on the ground-ish. They're not as dynamic with their poses.
Yeah, these are very dynamic.
They're creepy.
They're creepy. They're like even more so than like a xenomorph, I would even argue. Like their claws have more weird hooks to them.
Yeah, I think I'd rather go up against a xenomorph than that.
But
or none of the above.
None of the above would be the preference, I think. But if you had to choose, and actually it looks like they're on 40 mil.
They are on 40 miller bases, yes, which is the correct size.
It makes sense for them, because like if you haven't seen them on a Kings of War movement tray, like
they take up a lot of room.
They take up a lot of room because they're very like stretched out and leaping. They give the leapers a run for their money here. So, but no, this set is really shaping up awesome. For however long it's on pre-order, they have a special offer as well, where you get a free set of sci-fi scatter terrain while the supplies last. But if you haven't looked at it yet, like it comes with, contains 20 plastic marionettes, 4 plastic support drones, 6 hard plastic ciphers, 6 hard plastic Matsudon,
20 plastic scarecrows, 10 plastic reapers, 6 plastic butchers. So those are new sculpts.
Yeah,
because the butchers from the Kings of War line and the Vanguard line were not the hard plastics.
Right.
You get the resin shade, which is creepy.
Mm-hmm.
The shade is definitely one of the more creepy, as far as I'm concerned, leaders.
Yeah.
for them, just because the way it looks. Like there's something wrong with that thing. And then you get 1 resin Cipher Prime. So that, I'm assuming that's the leader.
Yeah, it's probably the sword and shield dude.
Yeah. And then of course you get the firefight rule book, the card counters, the command dice. Oh, 16 D8s. Nice.
16 D8s.
And
Each
bases.
side has 8. And bases. Yeah, and you know, it is the command protocols book that you're getting. And if I had to guess, historically what they've done when there's a new faction coming out, they'll have an insert sheet kind of thing, like a 1 or 2 pager that'll contain their stats. So
I mean,
that'll
of course,
be
the beta
companion
list is already on the companion right now.
Yeah, you can check out the
Nightstalkers.
beta list in the companion app, which is a great resource. Definitely recommend it if you are not on there already.
And if you look at one of the cool things about the firefight set, with this 2-player starter, realistically you have 2 leader options, 2 command options. Because you have the Matsudon and the Cipher Prime, and then you have the Shade, and one of your butchers can be, I can't remember what the butcher leader is, but the butcher has a command unit. So when you're looking at the pictures, the butcher with the extra arm, that is the command unit. And I'm assuming that standalone picture of the Matsudon is the Matsudon command.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So cool.
They all have their big like ion rifle thingies. Or I don't know if they're all ion rifles, but they're all these big hulking ones that they haul around.
So no, so you have, so the one is an ion burst laser, I think.
One's an ion cannon. One's some kind of
it looks like
extra laser.
4 of them are, well, and the leaders. I think those are the ion cannons, and then his is the ion burst. I can't remember exactly what it's called because, well, I don't play Asterians. But my Matsudon list has it. I just can't remember what it's called.
But no, and then like they've also posted the Nightstalker Strike Force itself, which is insane. 6 butchers, including resin upgrade kits, 10 void touched hard plastic models, 20 scarecrows and specters again, 5 plastic reapers, 1 resin horror, and 1 terror. The terror gives the Goliath a run for its money. This thing is huge.
It's called an ion barrage.
Ion barrage.
Sorry, I had to know what it was called.
Had to know.
Had to pull up my Matsudon list.
And then they've also posted the Asterian set as well. And even there's a Summer of Sci-Fi Getting Started set for Nightstalkers, which comes with the Command Protocols book, command dice, D8s, and the Nightstalker starter set, which, if I'm looking at these prices correctly,
$110,
which is just $30 more, gives you all the dice and the rules and tokens that you need to play Firefight. So if you're coming from Kings of War and you're like, oh, you know, the Nightstalker Switch is definitely for me. This is the faction I want to play. Gonna break them off of your multi-bases and get them on these round discs. But no, it's shaping up to be.
Those look sweet. What are those? Oh,
which
one? The Void Touch.
The Void Touch. Yeah, those look.
They look sweet.
They look awesome. I was about to say sweet too, but then you used that word, so I wanted to change it up.
So, like, as far as Nightstalkers, obviously I have some Kings of War Nightstalkers. Like, I have everything that's in that starter except for the Void Touch, and I obviously don't have the upgrades
Yeah.
for like the butchers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such I ordered some Nightstalker stuff. I did.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But yeah, so definitely like this is another great way to get into Firefight if you've been on the fringe and just the other starter sets haven't spoken to you. I mean, this is just another very excellent one. So now for Firefight alone, now we've had Enforcers versus Marauders, we've had Forge Fathers versus Veermen,
Yep.
and now we have Asterians versus Nightstalkers.
They are such a great way to get into the game.
Yeah, the starter sets for that Mantic puts out are like nothing holds a candle to them. They contain almost typically like starter boxes themselves are almost around 1,000 points worth of a list.
Oh yeah.
To start with. So the fact in the 2-player sets you get maybe close to 500 each side, and all the stuff you need to actually play the game. Otherwise, like you get the 2-player starter, you split that with a friend, and you each get another starter set. Your faction is done. You actually have everything you need.
Yep.
Yeah, the Mantic makes some really good starter sets, and they're priced pretty reasonably in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, definitely check that out if you haven't done so already. In other Mantic related news, the Epic Warpath late pledges are open presently. If you haven't hopped on that yet. So obviously Warpath was a pretty resounding success as a Kickstarter goes, and so they've opened up the late. I think they've actually had it open for a while, but wanted to mention it here that you should, if you're looking at adjusting your pledge at all or adding things to it, as the case usually is, definitely go over there and check it out. Make sure you pick your stuff up. I know personally people have asked me about it because I think I backed at like $1 just to kind of be in the loop and get the things and all the news and stuff.
Yeah.
But like my whole perspective on these things these days is, I'll kind of support part of the launch, but ultimately I'm looking at my friendly local game store to actually pick up my copy of it. So waiting for the pre-orders to come out on that. Obviously that's not due out till next year. So got some time left. But yeah, so wanted to give that a shout out as well.
What's up, everyone? I'm Andrew.
And I'm Coach.
From Family Gamers 777 on YouTube.
And you are listening to Deadzone the Podcast with Rick and Bryan.
Do you think they'll be upset that our audio is better than theirs?
Nah. Rick will probably just laugh it off. Told you.
And so one thing that so some of you might recall that last episode I got a chance to speak with Dev, and we went over to the Tertia Revolutionaries. At least I think that's their name. I'm gonna look it up real quick because I have the vault open in front of me. And it was the Tertia Revolutionaries. I did get it right. Yeah, in the vault, there was a faction that we went over, and obviously a whole bunch of other really cool goodies. And at the time that we recorded, the preview hadn't come out yet for the Hand of the Seven.
The Hand of the Seven.
So we wanted to definitely highlight that one here in the vault.
They're
And
so
so
sweet.
if you aren't on the vault or are unfamiliar,
You
definitely
should be.
giving a shout out to Family of Gamer 777 has some great reviews of these factions, these kind of elite lists. We call them elite lists because we're from
Old
second
school.
edition, and that's what we kind of called them back then. But essentially, they're pre-made lists, and so far we've had 3. The Arias mercenaries, the Tercia revolutionaries, and now
Rebs adjacent.
the Rebs adjacent, as I often woo them, and the Hand of the Seven, which is an enforcer themed list.
It is such a cool enforcer list.
It really is, because it's not only a couple of sculpts that we've seen before in the past.
But
We've
it's
got
some new ones.
We've got Sergeant Howlett, who's in the Iron Man pose.
And he's been around for a long time.
He's been around a long time.
So seeing him, so he was a Kickstarter exclusive, and he was a metal model.
Mhm.
And then he went to the website as a Mantic Points model,
Mhm.
a
Yep.
direct. So to see him pop up in the vault is awesome.
Is awesome, and it's a little so this isn't. It's a little secret that we actually had access to some of the STLs for us to print our trophies because we would use Sergeant Howlett.
Howlett is a 3-up.
And that was kind of a Pathfinder thing specifically. That wasn't just handed out to anybody willy-nilly. But it's really cool that people are going to get to see just the quality of that 3D model now. So you got Sergeant Howlett, awesome model, really neat stat line. You've got the Recon N32-19,
who was also a Kickstarter.
Yeah, he's a Pathfinder that's kind of leaping with a knife, and then the let's see who's all the Monarch ES345.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the one I want to do a 3-up as a trophy versus Howlett.
So
he's such a cool model.
The Monarch is a character from the Star Saga from the Arias contract, and I won't spoil her role in there, but it is a really cool model, and another one, like finally seeing it in an STL where previously this was like is it like a mold cast plastic? Is that how they call it?
Yeah,
it's board game plastic.
It's
right.
However they do board games.
However they do board games, and the detail that you just kind of lose from that process, it is what it is, right? To see what level of detail is on these models in their kind of natural state is amazing.
Yeah,
they look so cool, and then and then I think there's also a Corporal Valley. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong because I don't know what that symbol above the A pronounces like. But that's like an old, I think, like version 1 style enforcer sniper.
Yes, that's the
with the cloak and everything.
A long time ago.
And then there's a couple new ones. We've got a recon drone.
Yep.
Which looks like, I think that comes from the line with Warlord. I could be mistaken on that.
I think that one's actually
could be Mantic.
I think that one's a Mantic one. from the new Mantic Enforcer stuff.
The Pathfinder.
Yeah, the
starter.
new Pathfinder set.
Yeah.
But it might be. I mean, because the drones that are. Yeah, I'm looking at them. Like, I can't tell.
It's kind of hard to tell, which on the one hand kind of means, kind of
It's
speaks
really
to how
cool.
well aesthetically things kind of fit together. There's a Sergeant Rhiannon who's riding a mono wheel. Looks like
Yep.
another Pathfinder character. And there's an ESOC token, which just looks like a dead enforcer.
Yes, it's so cool. And it's so one of Monarch's leader abilities. It's the ESOC retrieval mission. That's her special order. And you get more victory points if there's more ESOC dead enforcers on the board. It's so cool.
There's also Corporal Phaneuf, who is one of the new.
That is 100% one of the new Mantic models.
It is one of the new Mantic models, which is the big
Peacekeepers.
The new Peacekeeper sets, which I want to find the exact name of because they're bigger than Peacekeepers. they're rocking out new armor and stuff. So
where are you guys at?
I'm gonna pull them up here. There's the sniper thing. There we are. The Novashock Peacekeeper team. So it's the Novashock dude.
Yeah, he's so cool looking.
And larger than a regular Peacekeeper, but smaller than a Strider, but somewhere in between. These guys are big.
So he is on the same base size as a Peacekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And he is definitely bigger than a Peacekeeper. Like, from a size wise, I would throw him up against he's just slightly smaller, maybe. No, he's about the same size as a Ripper suit.
Yeah, that's definitely what it looks like. So again, another like new Mantic model that we're getting access to through the vault is pretty awesome. And then lastly, we got Corporal Artemisia, who is, like, to my knowledge, 100% unique for the vault. Is a Pathfinder character.
Yes. That is not a Pathfinder from any other set.
No.
That is a new Pathfinder.
That is a new Pathfinder model, a new hero character, and that's pretty sweet. And so we might not do a full rundown on the rules for these characters. Like I said, at least this time, because we've already got a lot of stuff to cover. And like I said, check out Family Gamer 777. They've done a rundown on these. They talk all about all the different faction special rules, which are picked before recon rolls after a scenario has been decided. There's like 4 different options there, and then there's at least 2 special splat abilities that they're working with, and I'm just doing a quick look through if they have. I think the only special ability that they have that's not in the main rulebook just yet is maybe the elusive, which is the one that's basically a survive or use end dice as a modifier to their survive test when they are targeted of shoot action using range test. So you get to add dice. It's basically the version of Smash and Hollow Sight, but for survive.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely check that out. Again, you can get it on the if you go to the companion, it's one of the options in the drop down for factions is you'll see the Hand of the Seven. It is a 200-point list. And you know what? We'll have to break some of these out because it would be. I know. Again, Family Gamer 777 did some of these already with Coach, and they had a fun time. But breaking out some of these like unique factions with these special characters would be a heck of a fun time to do with Deadzone.
Hey everybody, John Jack here from Dreadball Commercials. You've seen me, you love me, you know you want me. Here you're listening to Deadzone the podcast with Rick and Bryan. Don't turn that dial or I'm coming for you.
So, that's not the only thing for the vault though.
Nope.
So we got a sneak peek at, and you guys should have this as well by now. The upcoming models for the vault for the next kind of big faction list is going to be a whole bunch of
goblins.
Goblins.
So
they're. Go ahead.
When you first sent me the picture that Clive shared with you, like my first thought was, "Oh my God, where's Georgie?"
Right? Like it's so cool. Like there's going to be so you've got a stunt bot, you've got the grunt bot. Again, all STLs. You've got a Hulk. You've got a whole mess of you got a pair of maw beasts. One that's kitted out to be like a mobile like weapons platform thing with the
It's
missile
so
launcher.
cool.
And then a whole mess of goblins, including one that has the jump pack.
Yes, with the claws, like like you would almost think from a Marauder standpoint, the way the goblins have always been like the main. We make all the machinery. We do all this. It's almost like the goblin with the jetpack is almost a prequel. It's like, hey, this is what our skyscrapers were, just for the record.
and I think it's okay if I share this. The jump pack goblin is called Crazy Gobby.
It's so perfect.
So those of you who might be only recently joining the show might not know this, but Rick is a huge Goblin fan.
So,
which is an understatement.
I mean, it's that throwback. So like when we first started getting together and playing, like that was my first themed list. You and I have made a ton of themed lists, but my very first one was called Goblin's Best Friend. And to finally have this, I am so excited for this list. Like I've got all the vault lists printed ×2 because I still haven't sent you yours. I might print multiples of this one.
I mean, it looks so fun. Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different like looks like troop sized goblins. So there's there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 new sculpts of goblins just for the vault here. That's awesome. And the fact that the Hulk, to my knowledge, was not an STL based model.
So there's 7 new sculpts.
Oh yeah, that maw beast there, its mouth is closed.
5, 6, 7. Yeah, so you have.
So almost all these are new sculpts.
Yeah, so the only ones that are not new sculpts is
the grunt bot,
the grunt bot, the stunt bot, the Hulk, the goblin with the big bomb with the rockets on it.
Yeah.
That's a port from Kings of War. And then
It's very fitting.
so technically it's not a new sculpt, but the goblin that's
Well,
leaning down with the sniper, that
that
was
was
from the first welcome pack.
the first welcome pack for the vault.
Yes. So
So
it's 7 or 8, depending on how you look at it. Either way, it's all goblins. I can't wait.
oh man, we're definitely like every month. I would say up to this point, especially lately for the sci-fi side of
The
things.
summer of sci-fi, like they nailed this so on point.
It's
Whether you're playing Firefight or if you're playing Deadzone, especially with all this vault stuff, because duh.
and I mean like we what would you say like this has been going for over a year now.
Yes.
I think last month actually May was the first full year, wasn't it? I think 2023 was the first one. And so like to see this I'm just going to take a quick look here. If I look back, May 2023 was Basilian or an Orc fleet.
Yep, May 23. That was the first one.
To see this project that Mantic has had over the course of
15 months. July will be 15 months.
A full year and change. To see this project of theirs mature, it's always been amazing value for the people that are behind it, and they continue to push that envelope even more. Like for a company that they were at one point they kind of had to make that call, like do we completely ignore 3D models? Do we just push our model set because that's what we're here for? Like we make these great rules, but we are a model company. They've been just killing it. It's amazing.
They've been killing it, and at this point, like I'm trying to think, I still think they're the only ones in the market.
The only the only one that's kind of doing both, right? Because even like War Machine
doing specifically both. War Machine went
just kind of made that pivot where they're now going.
They made the pivot from, okay, we're doing plastic models, so now we're going to do our own in-house resin models, and that's what you get.
Or you 3D print
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so where they're 3D printing it. So you can't buy their STLs.
Right. Like, other than one-page rules, which they went from the other side, right? They did the 3D models, and they're otherwise, have no hardware that they're pushing. For a company that's hitting the hybrid mark on this, Mantic is just doing. They're the only one, and they're acing it.
Nailing it.
I hope. And I did mention this to Clive when I talked to him. Like, I want you to tell a team like all your work is so appreciated. Like
it really is.
The stuff you've made available to the community that breathes new life into it, and on top of like new things that we get out of here is just awesome. And I'm just so excited to see what else is going to come out every month.
So I just did a quick Google search. Now, obviously, you could dive into it further than that, but yes, 100%. Mantic is the only miniatures gaming company that has an STL program.
And wow, Mantic, like, good on you.
So bad. And I mean, obviously, we talk about it being the summer of sci-fi, and these last 3 expansions with all of this good factions for Deadzone, but you still look at, like, it's not even the last 3 months, because you have all of the Nameless that hit. And then you get into some other random stuff that pops into all of these, but they've done such a good job using their entire catalog.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of sci-fi, a little bit of fantasy. Obviously, like when they started, they were a lot more fantasy.
Yeah.
And you got a little bit here and a little bit there.
Yeah, and that
But,
was
I mean-
that was kind of like I remember that was a big part of that decision was they were having to make like the resin upgrade kits, and it was just so expensive for them, and they had to
Yep.
charge so much. Whereas like now they can release upgrade kits,
On a dime.
yeah, on a dime. They obviously do still make some physical product for that line, but
Well, yeah.
they
Well, and
don't
that's,
have
I
to
mean,
make
that's the
as
whole
much
thing.
now, and yeah.
It's the amount of I want to build X. Well, I need to buy this box and I need to go buy that box just so I can have enough pieces for this.
Mhm.
Now I can buy this box, go download these STLs, print those off for these models, and go, oh, you know what they also had in there? Those. I think I want those. I'll download that STL and go buy that box. Like it works on both sides of the world because I mean my salamanders, I can now all have pirates because of the vault.
I'm trying to think of we also kind of mentioned like they put out Armada ships in here.
Yeah.
I'm
The
trying to
Armada
think
ships.
if there's any Armada faction that they haven't released now. Because the ones that had June's release had the Abyssal Dwarves.
Yeah, the Abyssal Dwarves are out.
And I think the Twilight Kin were
Twilight
already
Kin was
released.
last month. I mean June. Yeah.
May.
Twilight Kin was May, wasn't it?
I think so.
And then you have the Northern Alliance in April. You finished off the Salamanders in March from February. Elves in January. Elves in December.
So like just going back, it's like
November actually didn't. I didn't realize that. November didn't have an Armada list.
they didn't have Armada list, but they had the upgrade sets for tunnelers.
Yeah.
For fire, like all the
Which is so
command
cool.
like vehicles.
Yeah, I mean all this stuff for that. It was like, what? I can print that now?
And the Forge Father scenery pack, like
Yeah. And not to mention the drill. That is
Yeah.
one of my favorite Dreadball minis. But then October, yeah, that was Twilight Kin. September was Resident Evil. Trident Realms. August was Empire Dust. Empire Dust Dwarves. Basilians and Orcs. Yeah, I think they've done everybody.
it's nuts. And we've gotten way more value out of that than I think the dollar amount that we put in everyone.
Yeah.
Uh,
Considering
pretty easily.
Well, so I pay for the companion and the vault, so
Same.
you get that discount on it.
Yeah.
But even so, with the amount of honestly, from the cost of a starter, what's a starter for Deadzone? $50?
Yeah, right around there.
So for the last 3 months, I've essentially printed a starter because it's 200 points, which a starter is usually 150.
Mm-hmm.
You get more options when you actually buy a physical starter because you have sprues. But 200 points, that's easily a $40 value.
Yeah.
1 month pays for itself.
It really does. And yeah, the only downside obviously is if you don't have a 3D printer or a 3D printing friend, you might not be able to take advantage of it. But they do have.
But you can now. You can now because there is a U.S. Merchant.
Yep, I was gonna say, and I try to remember their name. I'm really great at notes, guys. I swear.
It is Shield Wall Gaming LLC, and they are out of Ohio, Jefferson, Ohio. So right around the corner from us. So if you're in the U.S. and you really want to get some Vault minis, you can contact them and have them print them and send them to you. And I'm sure if I say it on here, Bryan will edit and put a link to their website in our show
Yeah.
notes. Because
The link in the show notes.
because it's a thing. Yeah, and it looks like over in the UK they've got multiple. They've got 3 over in the United Kingdoms, and they got 1 in France. I guess
okay.
that's France. I
Might
don't
be
know.
France.
It's France. I guess. The cool thing is if you click it actually, yep, it's France.
It's France.
So there are options.
Uh-huh. All right. So yeah, with all and we got permission to say this isn't the only thing coming out for as far as STLs go from Mantic in July. There's more stuff coming later in the month. We don't have the details on it right now, but we've been told that there will be more coming. And so we'll probably be talking about it in our July episode, but some really exciting stuff, guys. It's really cool. And like I said, this is I just hopped on that Shieldwall Gaming Club right now.
Yeah.
Hand of the 7 is $25.
There you go. That's actually really cool.
That's a pretty good price for
so what you get, so I mean seriously, you break it down like that, like a starter costs $40-50.
mm-hmm.
That's going to give you
Which is
150.
Yeah.
A solid 150 points. You can add in some things and maybe get up to 175, which is our favorite number. But like you can get a good solid 150 points. These are 200 points of very solid lists.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for $25 for that, that's an amazing deal.
Yeah. And it looks like they're still kind of let me just make sure.
I know we can't say anything about what's coming up towards the end of July, but that's new. Okay, anyways.
And so definitely Shieldwall Gaming Club. I'll make sure to link them in the show notes here. And
I mean, honestly, you might as well link the rest of them.
Yeah.
There's 5.
If Rick sends them to me, I will.
Okay.
I will include them
I
in the
might
show
remember
notes.
to do that. Boy, he's finally making me work.
I've got less than a week to get this all together.
Oh, that's true. Oops, my bad.
So, no, it's all good. So again, just another example of Mantic really pushing the envelope of what it means to be, a miniature gaming company, in this day and age, really adapting to the change in the environments, still making amazing games, and we're the gamers are really reaping the rewards of this. And so with that, we're gonna head on over to the hobby table.
Hobby table.
And talk about some stuff that we're working on.
Talking about a slow grow.
Yeah.
This Deadzone, the podcast hobby table, is sponsored by Corvus Games Terrain, 3D printer files for all your Mantic games.
And by Acid House Terrain, foldable cardboard terrain for wargaming and RPGs.
And so the hobby table is, as always, brought to you by Corvus Games Terrain. If you're unfamiliar, we talk about them a lot, not just because they're a sponsor. Makes some really great 3D designed models, a bunch of which is geared specifically for Deadzone. It's all cubed up and everything. It's really sturdy designs, really adaptable. I use it, I wouldn't say exclusively, but if I'm demoing somewhere else, that's my travel case. I can bring 2 to 3 sets of terrain in one tub and
In
not
one
have to
tub.
worry about them like breaking on the way there. And then at the end, I just throw it all back in. So really, really great stuff. Really cool designs, and I just can't speak more high praises than that. Go check out his online store at CorvusGamesTerrain.com. I'll say that I did. The link is always in the show notes if I don't say it correctly.
If I don't say it right, it's there.
And then also, additional sponsor is Acid House Terrain. It's another great set of cardboard-based terrain, which is really great to flesh out any kind of large board space, as well as it's pretty close to Deadzone sized. So
it's perfect for firefight.
It's
it
perfect
is 100%
for firefight.
perfect for firefight.
And it looks really cool on the table once it's all put out there. It's really sturdy cardboard, and what's great about it is you kind of it comes in kind of 2 pieces, an insert and the exterior, and at the end of the day you fold those up and you pack it into a tub,
nicely.
And you've got like 6 tables of terrain in one tote.
And so, like, the timing couldn't be better. So Acid House is also getting ready to go back to Kickstarter for another release of their scenery. This time, it's the smaller size, so it's going to be perfect for Warpath. Epic.
Ooh. So definitely, we'll be reporting on that as soon as it comes out. Really cool stuff ahead. And so, with the sponsorships covered, we wanted to talk about Hobby Table. I had mentioned last month when talking with Dev, we were going to be doing Slow Grow as part of this Mantic Summer of Sci-Fi, and starting off with Deadzone at 150 points, and then slowly building up into July with Firefight at 300 points and August at 600 points. And so
really, I think it should be 500 and 800, just for the record.
Well, you didn't let me know that beforehand.
I know.
If you want to do more,
that's probably what I'm going to do.
You are welcome to do more.
So, well, let's talk about your list first.
Sure. So I put together, I think I mentioned in that previous episode that I was going to do enforcers for my Deadzone and my Slow Grow list in general. I had a whole mess of them laying around, including a starter set, like the main Firefight starter set, and additionally, just a whole smattering of old sprues and stuff too. And as it so happens, I did happen to have traded off all my Pathfinders. So I went down to Excel Hobbies and picked up the Pathfinder Firefight set as well to flesh this out. But all that said, what I wound up doing is I made the Bad Batch for my Enforcer Deadzone list. And so I have, if anyone's unfamiliar, the Bad Batch is a specific set. It's Clone Force 99 from Star Wars, the Clone Wars. And it's a set of clones that are all like have different heightened mutations about them. One guy's really good at sniping. One guy's really good at tracking and hunting and stuff. Guess what his name is?
Bob.
So I have with me a full 150 point roster of them, all painted up as well. And so just to go through my list real quick, at 150 points, I have my Enforcer Sergeant Hunter with the wrist blade and pistol set. I've got in my Enforcer Operative, my troop set, I've got a regular Enforcer with a laser rifle for Echo. I also have For my troop set, I did pick up a sentry gun, just a random sentry gun.
Just a random sentry gun.
And then I also picked up, I have a Peacekeeper for Wrecker. So he just has his Dominator rifle and an energy gauntlet. I also threw an extra ammo set onto him. And then I have, as a last troop point, I have a Pathfinder who has a tag rifle. And I'm doing the quotes that no one can see because this is radio.
Because that's what we do.
With that tag rifle actually being a Northern Alliance bow.
Very
because
nice. Very nice.
This is Omega, and Omega has a grenade with her as well, a frag grenade. And so that rounds out my troops. For specialists, I have a dog drone with the burst laser, who's Batcher, the kind of critter that Omega befriends in the show. And so I have a little dog drone that's painted up like him, and I stuck a little horn on his snout, much like the creature on the show.
Yep.
Because I couldn't find a Mantic model I liked enough to sub in for an actual like living Batcher.
Sure.
That said, I also have an engineer as for tech, who's also sporting a smoke grenade with him. And then lastly, I have an enforcer sniper in the form of Crosshair with AP ammo added on. And so the thing about my Crosshair model is actually it's the resin model for Roka that comes in the Pathfinder firefight set, which I didn't realize at the time. But it just kind of turned out I did have a metal Roka in the wings, and I got the resin one as well. And I'm like, well,
Sweet.
I'm going to do the resin one.
I mean, it works.
And I painted them up, and I did, I tried to take a little, with it only being, just a handful of models here, like ultimately it's 8 models, which is kind of where I'm pretty comfortable painting up in a batch. But I did try to make that effort I did basing, which some of you may not know, but most of my models don't get bases.
They have bases.
They have bases.
They're not
they don't have.
There's no basing.
There's no basing on them. They're usually flat black or 3D printed. In this case, I had the normal bases on it, and I added some little gravelly bits, and then painted that up with some dry brushing. So really, really happy how they turned out.
They look sweet, dude.
I kit bashed a whole bunch of them, as you can imagine. Like I mentioned, Omega has a bow instead of a rifle, but it's the Pathfinder torso. I think I went with I think I have a GCPS head on her.
Nice.
and Pathfinder legs. But like I mentioned, the arms are Northern Alliance Icekin Hunters, but it looks pretty close. The horn I mentioned for my dog drone is actually ones that I clip off of the Frostfang riders because I like them to not have their horns sticking out of their cheeks. And then tech, I actually went and put a Forge Father backpack on him with all of his stuff, and then I cut a one of the wrist blade options to get rid of the blade, so it looks like he's looking at his like a wrist mounted screen. So
very cool.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of fun to do, and I'm kind of stoked to see how well it actually plays. I did have one model that I was considering I might still add to this force, which would be a Medbot, because there's a character in Bad Batch that would fit that. as
And
a
you-
medical droid.
So I need to print a second one of those for you, right?
So I might need one. So Rick, if you wouldn't mind
Yeah.
printing, I had one at one point, and it's gone. My
It's
wife can
gone.
attest. I've searched for hours at different times to try and find this thing. I've got a lot of Mantic models from a lot of different eras of Mantic.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
We
it
did.
could be anywhere. I
Anyway.
could have also given it out to somebody. But long story short, that is my 149 out of 150 point list for my Deadzone slow grow.
Very nice.
So Rick, you're in kind of a weird position where we know Nightstalkers.
I was. So we know that. So Nightstalkers are in firefight. They officially have rules. Like it's a beta list, but they are officially in firefight.
Mhm.
We know per conversations and announcements that Nightstalkers are coming to Deadzone
Right.
soon.
Soon.
What soon
Damn.
means, I don't know. So, I seriously hummed and hawed. Like, I had narrowed it down. Like the video that I posted, I kind of narrowed it down to a couple different, either
Right.
enforcers or vermin. And because you were going enforcers, like, well, that makes that easy. I'm going vermin because I hadn't played the vermin since we did our campaign here in Lansing forever ago.
Oh yeah. It's been a minute.
And then we were talking, and I'm like, wait a second. I've got an entire Kings of War mega army Nightstalker set. I could totally do Nightstalkers. So I kind of looked at the firefight list and I was like, okay. So I'm pretty sure those are going to be in Deadzone. Those are definitely going to be in Deadzone. That might be in Deadzone. Screw it. I'm going to throw it together. And so we don't know if this is 110 points, 125 points, 150 points. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But it get me started.
It was the effort. That's what really matters.
So I threw in there first as my leader. I went with a horror because I think it's an amazing model and creepy. And then I did a couple nasty little scarecrows and a couple little specters. I did a ripper and I did a butcher. And then I can't remember what the Nightstalker dog is called. So it's a grotesque little thing.
We'll call it that.
Yeah, it's just a grotesque little thing. But I ended up painting up one of them because it was definitely on a fence. It's like, okay, is Kings of War going to have this? I mean, is Deadzone going to have this model? I don't know. But I like it a lot, so I'm going to paint one. So that is what I threw for my slogo for the month of June. Again, same model count as you, so chances are it's definitely lower than 150 points. As you were going through your list, I'm looking at mine going, wait, this might be 125 points? If I'm
just throw some items on there, because that's what I ran into without the medbot in mind. It was like, oh well, I gotta come up with at least like a dozen more points. Like, I'll throw items on everybody. An underappreciated aspect of Deadzone, honestly.
Yeah.
In list building, anyway. But yeah, the picture you posted of them, they look really sweet. Yeah. And we'll be posting kind of our kind of final versions of these on our Facebook page when the episode kind of airs, so everyone can see it. If you guys have been following along and doing a part of the slow grow as well, feel free to post your progress as well. We love to see.
Dev has.
Yeah,
Dev doesn't count. He
Dev
painted an entire Nightstalker army.
He posted like 3,000 points of firefight.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Like, Dev, it's 150 of Deadzone. We're talking like 10 models, maybe. But no, yeah. if you guys have been participating in the summer of sci-fi and doing some of your own slow grow, we'd love to see how your models are coming along, and I think the rest of the community would love as well. So definitely looking forward to that. And then, as I mentioned, oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
I was just going to say, as I mentioned, coming up next, we've got July, which is kind of making that jump into firefight. And so I'm probably going to be starting kind of from scratch because
So am I.
The Deadzone set that I started with is one that's really unique to themselves. So I'm probably just going to be starting with a fresh 300 points and going from there. But I think I had mentioned before, like, it's great to, if you wanted to do like your Deadzone set, it to be kind of your leader models that then go and lead factions in firefight. That's a really fun way to build out those.
Honestly, I think I'm going to shoot for the 300 points. I still think I'm going to try for 500, but I'm also going to Alaska.
Yeah.
For the first part of the month, so I'm not going to be hobbying up there at all.
Oh yeah.
So I did want to. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Cool. I did want to do a special shout out to Hoplite Games here in Lansing. So they did today, the day of our recording, was free RPG day at comic shops and game stores. A lot of companies put these little free adventures for their games out, and they send them out to all the game stores, and everybody comes in and they can get free RPGs. Well, Rick at Hoplite, what he wanted to do was have a whole bunch of demos going on and do a whole event around not just coming in and getting these free little pamphlets. And he asked me to come down there and do some Deadzone demos. I had 6 guys, 6 or 7. One of my favorite parts about demoing with these guys is every single one of them was like, wait, I've never heard of this. Why have I not heard about this? This is awesome. And one of them was even like, he asked me, okay, so is this like 40K? And I was like, well, I mean, Space Marines are Enforcer adjacent. I mean, they're modified humans. And he's like, oh, good. So this isn't like 40K. And I'm like, no, it's not. And we started going through all the lists, and he had a blast reading through. And so, yeah, I just wanted to give Rick at Hoplite Games a big shout out because his new location and the size of his store is amazing. Like, that's going to be, I think right now with how it's set up, we could do probably 20 plus Kings of War or Firefight players for a tournament.
That'd be pretty sweet. And I'm actually looking at the pictures he just had a post just as a couple minutes ago, where talking about the day that they had, and probably looking at over 200 people stop by to check out the store, and it just looks like everyone is having an amazing time. So that's awesome. Great thing for you, Rick Talk. We love you, man. And it looks like the new store is really working out.
Yes, indeed.
Very cool. As a last note, want to shout out the Michigan GT because
it's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's right around the corner in September. But
I mean, to be fair, it was in March that we were talking about the summer sci-fi stuff, like hints at it. It's already summer. I feel like it was just March.
Yeah, it is fair. We are going into July here, and next thing you know, you're blinking, it's fall. But want to share that we do have all of our events are posted now and available to pre-order order your tickets.
Order your tickets. The sooner you get your tickets, the better for prize support.
Yeah, pre-reg, can't speak enough of how valuable and important that is. for the organizers and the people running the event. It really showcases the enthusiasm of the community, and they love rewarding that kind of enthusiasm. So the earlier we can get those registrations in, the better. It also really helps us that are planning for the event to know how many tables do we have to put together. How many item crates does Bryan have to print off and paint this time? Things like that. And so the earlier we can get the word of mouth out there about that. Obviously, we're going to be talking about it more and more as we get closer to the event. But to answer an earlier question, in case I didn't last time, we did get permission to do both firefights on Friday night and Firefight Annihilation on Sunday.
Annihilation!
So we will have both firefight events there, with the regular firefight tournament happening kind of at the same time. The first day of the event for us, and then Sunday in probably a more casual but still exceedingly fun events for the vehicle mayhem that is Firefight Annihilation.
Yes,
and then
indeed.
obviously we also still have Deadzone. We did move it up this time, so it's not in the dead of night.
It's a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we're overlapping with the Kings event now. It just means that we get to have it at more reasonable hours of the day. There is a quick note on that, and I might get some feedback from the community, is that to keep the price point at the same level as we've had it for the last couple of years, we had to keep the event to 4 hours. Now we have it at 175. We've got 4 games planned at about an hour apiece. Now, I feel like we can do that, but might get some feedback from folks if that just seems like just a little too much to cram in. We want to have some breathing room in there. We might see about adjusting a little bit, maybe with the point levels, and go from there. But either way, it's going to be a really fun time, and hope to see you guys there.
Yes, indeed.
And I think that's going to be a wrap, because this has been a long episode already.
This is a long episode, man.
For another one of those, like, for an episode where we just kind of have news things to talk about.
We still ended up filling it completely full of stuff.
So with that, follow us on all the social medias, looking for Deadzone Podcast, and we'll see you guys next month.
Yay.
And also, the little shout out to the guys that were at the Origins. The game fair this last weekend.
Was that Blake running the booth?
I didn't notice. I didn't see.
So there was a picture of the booth, and Blake's sitting there.
Maybe he was.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a thing.